Hey, what's up? Now, as you can see, I'm going to be doing a video on Transformers Animated. Focus. There we go. Transformers Animated Rise of Safeguard. Now, back then, well, as you can see, this is the back of it. This is pretty much literally a toy catalog in comic book form. And of course, as you guys know, there we go. And see the copyright date. Let's fix the glare. There we go. Now, this was more like a giant catalog, as you saw from the back, advertising the Transformer toys. However, the purpose of this comic book really was, in my opinion, Hasbro or Takara or whomever designed these actual figures, way of saying, wait, I know what you're thinking, at least read about them real quick. Now, when I initially saw it was more like a set. You get both Jetstorm and Jetfire, and they are pretty much twins. And the whole purpose of, like I said, is that they were originally, just regular teenage guys who were pretty much running around playing. They're very energetic and acrobatic. Like, they like to do flip, they like to do parkour, they also like to compete with each other. And they were just regular bots that didn't really have an alt mode until there was an accident which caused them to pretty much had to be reformatted into what we see right now. Now, the thing was, in Transformers Animated, and I actually kind of like this idea, it really helped differentiate more into the Autobots and Decepticons. The Decepticons had more of a flight ability, which gave them more of an advantage over the Autobot. Whereas the Autobot had, only like land or ground-based abilities, which pretty much, to avoid and conquer and, all that other stuff. That's their way of divergence against the Decepticons. However, when they captured Starscream, they managed to get his flight protocol or, transformation cog or whatever, which was downloaded into a system that the Autobots wanted to use, to their own advantage, because, like I said, none of the Autobots have any flight modes or a flight capability. And as I already mentioned, both these twin brothers, they were pretty much hurt and they needed to be reformatted, and they decided to test this system out using the twin brothers. And it became a huge success. However, it made them become more, remember, they still kept their personalities intact, where they like to compete, they're very energetic, they like to be, they move like acrobats and, more like parkour their way out of a situation. They learned martial arts, which I think really, but it made them more stronger, they became more faster, and obviously they had the ability to fly, and they also had another ability, where, as you can see, it says Rise of Safeguard. They actually have the ability to combine into Safeguard. Now, once they're in Safeguard mode, that's where it's more like he's not as hyperactive as, the two twins. It seemed like their mind melded into one, where he seemed more mature, understands that he's ridiculously strong and powerful, and it's more like just give him an order and he'll make sure it's complete. That type of motif. However, once Safeguard is, reverses back into Jetfire and Jetstorm, like I said, they're teenagers. That's how it is. Now, Jetstorm, in his capability, once he gained access to flight and other protocol, same thing with Jetfire, it in a way gave them, powers. It's hard for me to say, robot with powers, but, it can happen, I guess. But it endowed them with power. Jetstorm, hence the name Jetstorm, had the ability to control wind or any form of turbulence. He can cool things down. He can push things. He can suck things. It's like I said, he had the ability of controlling wind element. Jetfire, pretty much obvious. He has the ability of fire. He can pretty much human torch his way into any situation. And they can both cancel each other out, but at the same time, they can both enhance each other's power. Which, what happens when, they're fighting together and they decide to, they have like special attack. And when they both combine, obviously, Safeguard is ridiculously, more powerful and maximize both their powerful, their elemental powers to ridiculousness where it's like, yeah, he's very strong and tough. Now, again, the actual toys of these figures, I mean, obviously the comic made them seem awesome and obviously was the saving grace because the actual figures were not eye-pleasing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw them way back then in Target on the shelf, I saw it and immediately I was like, oh, they are literally selling two repaints of the same mold, and that was that. And then I looked on the back of it and it's like, oh, so they can combine. But that's intriguing, but it didn't capture my imagination or made me go, you know what, I'm gonna buy it. Instead I was like, it is what it is. So I left it alone. Especially since the price point was literally the same as a Voyager, which both of them were pretty much like skinny deluxes. So, what ended up me having to purchase this is when I found out that, well, obviously, you could see that there's a comic book in it, but I went home and I just pretty much found out that they ended up going on sale, but this was like, I think, a couple months later or probably a few weeks later. I don't remember exactly because I was late back when, but pretty much they were trying to sell them out because they were kind of like shelf warmers from where I was at. So finally I was like, okay, well, it's cheaper. Sure, why not? I'll buy it. As soon as I took the figures out of the package, I was like, okay. My expectation was already low, so I was like, okay. But like I said, the saving grace was this comic book, which gave them so much personality that I was like, you know what? It makes sense. I'll let it have a path. And you can even combine them in their alt modes right here, where it's pretty much it's like they become X-Wing. But other than that, they're not bad. I mean, I still have them to this day. I just don't feel like, digging them out right now. But this is more over for the comics, and like I said, it's actually a really good read. Transformer Animated was a great series. I wish they actually completed it, TV-wise, even though we all understood why they canceled it sort of short. Thank you, Michael Bay. But anyway, sorry I had to get a drink. Throat was getting a little dry. But, yeah. This comic, highly recommended. Well, back then, in order to get this comic, you had to actually buy the figures. But, as you can see from the back completely, there's no scan barcode. So there's no way anybody could sell it unless you can, if you find somebody that's willing to trade it with you or is selling it for on the cheap. Very good read. Definitely worth it. Great designs, as you can see, for each panel. Very emotive. It's very funny and very comical. It's definitely, as you can see right here, is an example of how they are. They are still energetic teenagers. This is when they were, realized, oh crap, we can fly, we can do all this damage, and we're not hurt. And plus, the Autobots were attacking them because, guess what? They could fly. But it's a lot of shenanigans, but it's not too crazy. Like I said, highly recommend you guys checking this out when you get the chance. Alright then, later.